Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about building self-confidence. Most notably, I'm going to show you the two critical pillars that form the really deep, true sense of self-esteem that doesn't come from the external world, the type of self-esteem that makes you completely unshakable in the face of life's adversities. But the big problem we have is that most people have a misconception about self-confidence. In fact, our society that we live in fosters a false sense of what it means to be confident. Now, this shouldn't be a surprise, but for most of us, we spend most of our time seeking confidence through an external source of validation, or through competence, or both. So what I mean by that is that we go to our friends to give us compliments, to make us feel good, to make us feel seen. We try to be really good at our jobs so that we're recognized by our boss or our colleagues. We try to learn a skill or get really good at sports that people cheer us on, or people look at us with admiration. And it's through these external stimuli that most people throughout their entire lives go and seek to feel good about themselves and feel a sense of what we call confidence. But the problem with that kind of confidence, as probably shouldn't be a surprise when you're hearing me say this, is that it comes from an external source. And when all your self-esteem comes from external sources and that's where you turn, it means that your self-confidence isn't true. And what I mean by that is that it can easily be shaken. Most of you have experienced you feeling really good, things are great, and then all of a sudden someone says something and hits a nerve, or someone has a personal attack at you, or things go wrong, and all of a sudden your whole sense of confidence is shaken. You're feeling angry, you're feeling upset, you're feeling hurt, you feel with self-doubt. And it didn't take much. It took one thing to go wrong in your life, one thing you thought you were good at to fall apart, and your whole self-esteem, you begin to self-question. That's what I mean by it's not true. It's too easily shakeable because it requires external stimuli. Now, we all know that we want self-confidence to come internally, right? We want it to be internally driven. But that notion often feels so nebulous. We don't really know, what the hell does that mean? Does that mean you're supposed to go and stand in front of a mirror every morning and say, I'm Damien and I'm confident, and every day, little bit by little bit, I'm getting better and better? No, it doesn't mean that, because that's hoo-ha, that's not real stuff. True self-esteem comes from a lifestyle habit, a lifestyle hygiene that builds deep self-confidence. So the two pillars are these. Number one, how much trust do you have in yourself that you will take care of yourself well no matter what life throws at you? And the second is, how much do you live with personal integrity? All right, so let's have a look at the first of these two pillars. Let's just call it self-care. But really, it's about trusting that you will self-care. Because most people, 90% of people in the world, are horrendous at really taking good care of themselves. They don't want to make the tough, big life decisions that they know they need to make. Who here has been in a relationship that hurt them, right? How long did you stay in that relationship when you realized it hurt you? How much did they have to hurt you before you'd actually take a step and walk away? You know, how much hurt were you willing to put up with? How many lies did you tell yourself so that you didn't have to make that big decision? You know, I know many of you are sitting right now and all of you have big decisions to make in your life about what next steps you want to do with your career, about what you're going to do about this thing that's problematic for you. These big life decisions, we tend to prefer as human beings to keep things as they are. We don't want to create ripples. We don't want to upset people. We don't want to radically change what our lives are going to look like because that's scary. It's the big unknown. But the difficulty is that every step of the way that you don't make big decisions, or you don't take self-care, and you don't self-care rapidly, you let yourself sit there in pain, because being in pain feels easier than making a big decision, you are eroding your trust that you have that you are someone that will take care of you. And if you don't take care of you, who the hell will? The reality is you can't trust anyone else but you to take care of yourself. And often people say, well, the reason I let my boss treat me like rubbish, or the reason that I stick with this job where I shouldn't, I don't really want to be here, or the reason why I let my friends treat me like crap, or the reason I don't set really good boundaries with my girlfriend is because I have low self-confidence already, Damien. That's why. How am I supposed to do this when I already have low self-confidence? This is the big societal mistake we have. Self-confidence is something you build, you earn by making the harder decisions. It's something that you have to build up slowly, and we'll talk about this in the second half of the video, but it's something that that comes first. You don't just have self-confidence and then you make good life decisions. You earn the right to be a truly self-confident individual by making the tough decisions quickly, right, as soon as they become apparent, and consistently. Because that builds trust. Hey, no matter what happens here, I'm going to take care of me, right? Now, the second part of self-care is how good are you at taking care of yourself when everything does go wrong? Because sometimes you're going to make big decisions and it's not going to go in the favor that, in your favor. How good are you at that? Because really, think about it. If a girl laughs in your face when you approach her and try to flirt with her, do you sit in a puddle of self-hatred for like days at a time? Or do you sort of go, okay, this really sucks, I hate this feeling, but I'm gonna, as quickly as possible, go and approach the next girl that I wanna talk to so that I don't sit here and get stuck on my head? How good are you at that level of self-care, of making sure you don't fall off the deep edge? Right? How well did you self-care when you left a bad relationship? Did you go and seek professional support? Do you have a good group of friends that you know that you're going to go and talk to that are going to help you sift through all the psychological damage that's done? Because again, if you can't trust that you're going to take care of yourself, how can you really be a confident person and behave confidently? And to bring this back to dating for a second, imagine I go out with two men and guy A he already has a habit of making big life changes because he knows what he really wants and he knows he needs to shake his life up to chase what he wants. And he's also in the habit of taking good care of himself when things go badly. So he trusts, he's got the habit of doing things to take care of himself, and he trusts that he can make himself feel better when things go badly. The second guy has lived a life avoiding change because change is uncomfortable, because things might go badly, and he avoids making those changes because when things do go badly, he is not good at taking care of himself. He's his own worst enemy. He just like falls apart and feels depressed for weeks afterwards when something doesn't go to plan. If I've got those two men out and about and they're both scared of talking to women in a bar because they've never done it before, who do you think is most likely to start taking regular, consistent action? And who do you think is going to sit idly by, struggling with approach anxiety and never taking any action at all? They could be equally nervous, but one of them is going to take action because he's got true self-confidence. Nervous, no competency, but he's going to take action, and as a result, he's going to get better. And the other guy gets stuck where he is. Now, the second pillar is personal integrity. And I think it's particularly pernicious in areas where coaching is involved. And what do I mean? Okay, let me use dating coaching as a really classical example. I remember when I first got involved in the pickup artist community. And that is not that I was coaching, I was just going out and hanging out with guys trying to pick up women in a bar when it was all the rage in the early 2000s. And what was very common back then was guys misleading women. They were playing sort of head games. They were saying, oh, I only have a minute to talk, but I just wanted to say hello, like a false time constraint. And they would neg women, sort of give her a kind of what sounds like a compliment, but it's really an insult, and all these disingenuous ways of getting women to pay attention to them. It was very, very popular back then. I know a lot of guys still do it now, but it was all the rage, that behavior. And it was interesting because I would see these guys going out and picking up women and having success using these strategies, but their self-esteem was really fragile. In other words, if a woman was particularly rude to them, or if they didn't have any success with women for a few weeks in a row consistently, they were just easily knocked. And the reason why that happens is because if you play games with other people and misrepresent who you are, in other words, fake it till you make it style self-confidence, if things go well, so if I go and I talk to a girl and I kind of misrepresent myself in a million different little ways, and I'm not acting with integrity, and she likes me, then what I've just reinforced is the belief that you, Damien, as you really are, the true you, isn't good enough to be liked by women. So yes, this girl wants to sleep with you, but not really you, the fake version of you that you put up. And if you imagine doing this consistently, time and time and time again, behaving without integrity, it is a self-esteem erosion process. That's why, it's one of the reasons why, for example, narcissists self-maintain their low self-esteem, because narcissists famously misrepresent consistently over and over and over again. And as a result, their self-esteems are in the floor a lot. But it happens to non-narcissistic people as well. When I talk about integrity, I'm talking about integrity, the obvious thing, which is, don't lie to people and misrepresent yourself. We all do it to some degree, right? I'm wearing a hat right now because I badly need a haircut. And I think, well, if I'm gonna be on camera, I better look a little bit more professional, right? We misrepresent with the way we dress, or we misrepresent by smiling when we're feeling sad. We all do it to some degree. But when you keep that to a minimum, your self-esteem goes up. Okay, that's the one form of integrity. But the other is your word is law, which means what you say all the time is what you intend and what you will do. So if you say to someone, hey, I'm going to go out and catch up with you on Friday night, and then Friday rolls around and you've had a long day at work and you're feeling kind of tired and lazy, if you say no, that's breaking your integrity. If instead of saying no to someone because you don't really want to help them move houses, you say maybe, when you have no intention of doing it, that's breaking integrity. The other form of breaking integrity is breaking integrity to yourself. You say to yourself, tomorrow, I'm gonna eat healthily, and then you don't. You say to yourself, tomorrow morning, I'm gonna go to gym. You wake up, you're feeling tired, you hit snooze 5 times in a row, and you miss going to gym. These forms of internal self-breaking of integrity are also caustic to your self-esteem. It's a lifestyle habit you need to learn to build. You need to become a lot more comfortable saying no to people a lot more often. And when you say yes, it's an ironclad yes. This builds a very firm sense of who you are in your own brain, who you are, what you are and are not willing to do. And you reaffirm that to yourself by reaffirming it to the world over and over and over again with your firm yeses and your firm no's, and none of them may be bullcrap that a lot of people like to put out there now and again. You create a very, very solid sense of self. And with a solid sense of self, you know who you are and what you stand for. And with that first pillar, which is your ability to take care of yourself, that's where you've become really solid in your self-esteem. And that's where that true self-confidence comes from, that kind of person you meet and they just seem to be unstoppable. All right, so it's nice to think of these 2 pillars, but really what we need to do is build that up for ourselves. It needs to become a lifestyle, and it's very difficult in the beginning. I often compare building self-confidence to a big flywheel. Now, if you're not engineering minded, what a flywheel is, it's a very, very large mass, usually in the shape of a wheel. And it's not normally made of rubber or wood as we might think of a wheel. It's usually made of something heavy, like iron or some form of heavy metal. And it's rotating, on a little spindle, usually a little spindle, and it's a big rotating mass. And the idea of a flywheel is that once it's rotating, because it's very, very heavy, it maintains its momentum and it's very hard to stop. It's a way that you can store energy. It's a way that you can, there's a lot of uses for a flywheel. But the idea with a flywheel is that it's very difficult to start moving because it's a big, heavy mass. But once it is moving, once it has momentum, it's very hard to stop. And building self-confidence is a bit like this. If you're watching this video and you think, Damien, you're right, I need to build my self-confidence. It is gonna be so hard to start making those right decisions. When your boss at work is rude to you, it's gonna be really, really hard to pull him aside afterwards and say, hey, I didn't appreciate you saying this and this and this to me in front of everyone at the group meeting. Next time, can you please pull me aside and talk to me about it in private? Saying that is gonna be so difficult in the beginning. Saying yes to something and actually following through when you're tired or hungover and not in the mood and you're used to not doing it is gonna feel so hard. Saying no to a friend who's asked for help because you're not ready to, you're willing to, whatever it is, saying no the first time is gonna make you feel like an a-hole, right? Because you're not used to it. These are those initial little nudges to that flywheel. And when you are someone who is making big life decisions, every time you make a complicated, tricky, scary, big life decision, and you just go, yep, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm not 100% on the outcome, but I need to make a change because I'm not happy and I need to be a better person. And you make that big shift, you are giving a massive nudge to the momentum that that flywheel has. And the great thing is that after a few months of doing this, of building up the momentum and your self-confidence flywheel, what happens is it becomes very hard to stop. A woman laughs in your face when you're flirting with her, or your boss is rude to you in a group meeting at work. Okay, they're little nudges in the wrong direction, but you've got all that momentum. You're not going backwards. You're still feeling okay about yourself. And the great thing is that you have now good habits. So when you feel bad when a girl laughs in your face, you talk to your mates about it and you jump straight back in so you don't get stuck in your head. Really good self-care hygiene. When your boss is rude, you take the difficult action to either quit and go, you know what, this is the 10th time they've done it, I've asked them a million times, or you go and talk to them for the first time. When you do those things, you not only maintain the momentum of your flywheel, you usually speed it up more than it was before those bad things happened. And so that's really the key. You just need to start small, start with something, but you need to start building yourself into a man that you know exactly who that is, and you communicate that at all times to the world, and a man that you can trust, or woman, if you're a woman watching this is not limited to men only, but you're a person that you can trust. You trust yourself to self-care. When you're that person, you're unstoppable. And that might seem like a lot of work, but you're watching this because you know self-confidence will impact absolutely every aspect of your life, not just dating, not just work, not just friendships, not just your ability to be a great parent. Literally everything is impacted by how much true self-confidence you have. And when it's internally driven like that, there is almost nothing the external world can throw at you that's going to throw you off balance. Can you imagine how amazing that would be? So everyone, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you've liked it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. This really helps me out a ton. As always, I look forward to seeing you all in my future videos.